Bartle.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Doggett.
I would respectfully offer a motion pursuant to Clause 4A of the House rules, moving to postpone consideration of this bill until next Tuesday, November the 14th, and would ask respectfully to be heard on my motion for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Doggett. I know you feel, even though the American public has waited 31 years for this day, I know you feel passionate about this. So the gentleman is recognized to speak on his.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I felt passionately about it once before. We have a history on this. The last time that I asked for this committee to give us just one additional week to give thoughtful evaluation of major legislation, that motion was defeated by the majority, and the majority adopted a bill that President Trump himself declared was a mean bill, to use his words. And certainly the president was correct that the House health care repeal, taking away coverage from millions of people, was mean, very mean. But I believe today with this legislation, you've gone much further, and that the damage that would be done to our economy and to our families is much more far-reaching. The motion that I'm presenting at this time requests simply that we reconvene next Tuesday after you have had an opportunity to notice the first public hearing on this bill in its history. Our objective is insight, not delay. Incredibly, for this legislation of such magnitude, after so many years, as you indicate, this plan has never had a single public hearing, nor does any member of the Trump administration have the courage to come and sit at that desk and answer questions about this bill. Indeed, no expert witness has been given the opportunity to explain this bill's deficiencies, nor, much as with the rush to get a bill approved on health care without a CBO score, has there been an opportunity for thorough independent evaluation in the rush to justice over one weekend that we've had this bill. I don't know of a time in the history of this committee when it has ever attempted to enact legislation of such breadth with such shallow analysis. And of course, despite our efforts, we still lack the tax returns of President Trump and his 500-plus entities that might show how he and his family will personally benefit. If that were not enough, we have a new and unexpected development yesterday. And that is, thanks to a free press and investigative journalism, the release of the first information about the Paradise Papers concerning offshore tax avoidance in Bermuda and other island tax havens. These are explosive revelations that once again sound the alarm about the inequities of our tax system and disturbing amounts of tax avoidance. When the privileged avoid their taxes in Bermuda or the Caymans or somewhere else, it's individuals and small businesses and domestic businesses that end up having to pick up the tab. Now, since the Panama Papers were released about similar avoidance last year, we've tried on several occasions to get this committee or the subcommittee to take action, including investigatory hearings. Unfortunately, we have been denied that opportunity. These new reports from yesterday raise new questions about a number of Trump allies, his billionaire buddies, and multinational corporations that have so much to gain from today's bill. Clearly, they won't be submitting their taxes on a postcard. They may be submitting their taxes in a way that allows them even more tax avoidance than today. I think, for example, of the data that shows that last year, 18 times as much money was reported as profits in Bermuda by American corporations than the entire gross domestic product of the country. Trump's top economic advisor, who's been the apparent White House lead on this bill, Gary Cohn, according to one of the reporters who presented this information, has been the president of so many offshore firms that they barely fit on the new graphic explaining this. And having Mr. Offshore involved in writing this new international corporate tax provision gives us good reason to need to explore in at least one public hearing whether this bill is just creating new loopholes or is really creating jobs only for tax attorneys and CPAs. Mr. Chairman, I would just say that like the rush-through Trump immigration policy, the health care repeal disaster. We need to learn from this experience that this bill needs some vetting. In the President's word, it needs extreme vetting to find out all aspects of it. If you don't have anything to hide further about this bill, a week and one public hearing will not impair your efforts. It will afford an opportunity for the American people to understand. Trust me, it'll be great, just isn't a plan. We cannot afford to trust this bill when no administration witness will come before the committee. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr.
Move to postpone.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Doggett. The question is on the motion to postpone. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it, and the
Mr.
motion is
Chairman.
not agreed to.
On that, I would request a recorded vote.
A recorded vote is requested. Clerk, please call the roll.